How are you guys doing? Today is Wednesday, January 19th, 2022. I'm James Sims, and for this episode of The Elite, I'm going to review the Elite matchups and performances from yesterday, Tuesday, January 18th. Taking a quick step back and looking at where we are in the calendar year as we enter this 2022 calendar year from the top. Starting off with college basketball, teams are getting into their their conference schedules. They're about 5 to 10 games in, depending on the team. In the NFL, we are at the divisional playoff round, as of course the first divisional round game will take place on Saturday. The first two games will be then. So of course, I'll walk you through those day by day. In the NBA, we are in the second half of the season as we are almost at the All-Star break. We're about a month or two away. And then not to mention that in soccer, we are entering the second half of most seasons, and the African Cup of Nations is almost at the round of 16 as teams are slowly starting to seed themselves into this tournament. Taking a look first at what went down with college basketball yesterday, there were a good amount of games. Starting with the fifth-ranked basketball team in the nation, the defending champs, the Baylor Bears. They would go on to face off against the unranked West Virginia Mountaineers at West Virginia. Baylor would beat West Virginia 77-68. They won this matchup by 9 after they outscored West Virginia by 5 in the second half. On the winning end of this matchup, the Bears were led in scoring by their starting guard, L.J. Cryer. Cryer finished with 25 points in 34 minutes. He shot 8 for 16 from the field, 5 for 9 from 3, and a perfect 4 for 4 from the foul line. Their starting guard, Matthew Mayer, finished with 20 points and 4 steals in 29 minutes. He shot 6 for 13 from the field, 5 for 8 from 3, and a perfect 3 for 3 from the foul line. With this win, the fifth-ranked Baylor Bears are 16-2. They are now 4-2 in the conference. With this loss, the unranked West Virginia Mountaineers are now 13-4. They are now 2-3 in the Big 12. Looking at the sixth-ranked team in the nation, my Duke Blue Devils will go to Tallahassee to face off against the unranked Florida State Seminoles. The Seminoles will go on to upset the Duke Blue Devils, and then which would lead to their fans storming the court. Florida State won this matchup 79-78 after they outscored Duke by 5 in the second half and by 1 in overtime. On the losing end of this matchup, the sixth-ranked Duke Blue Devils were led in scoring by their starting forward, Paolo Banchero. Banchero finished with 20 points, 12 rebounds, and 7 assists in 42 minutes. He shot 6 for 11 from the field and 7 for 9 from the foul line. On the winning end of this matchup, the unranked Florida State Seminoles were led in scoring by their starting guard, Caleb Mills. Mills, their sophomore out of Arden, North Carolina, would finish with 18 points and also 2 steals, and he would do all of this in 35 minutes. He also added 2 blocks. He shot 5 for 17 from the field and a perfect 6 for 6 from the foul line. With this win, the unranked Florida State Seminoles are now 11-5. They are now 5-2 in the ACC. With this loss, the 6th-ranked Duke Blue Devils are now 14-3. They are now 4-2 in the ACC. Taking a look at the 7th-ranked team in the nation, the Kansas Jayhawks went to Oklahoma to face off against the unranked Sooners. The 7th-ranked Jayhawks would beat the unranked Sooners 67-64, winning this matchup by 3. On the winning end of this matchup, Kansas was led in scoring by their starting forward, Jalen Wilson, out of Denton, Texas. Wilson would go on to finish with 16 points and 8 rebounds in 35 minutes. He shot 6 for 10 from the field, 2 for 5 from 3, and a perfect 2 for 2 from the foul line. With this win, the 7th-ranked Kansas Jayhawks are now 15-2. They are now 4-1 in the Big 12. They currently hold the best record in the conference. With this loss, unranked Oklahoma is now 12-6. They are now 2-4 in the Big 12. That is tied for the worst record in the conference. Looking at the 8th-ranked team in the nation, the Wisconsin Badgers would go to Chicago to face off against the unranked Northwestern Wildcats. Wisconsin would beat Northwestern 82-76. They won this game by 6 after outscoring Northwestern by 6 in the first half. On the winning end of this matchup, the 8th-ranked Wisconsin Badgers were led in scoring by their starting guard, Johnny Davis, out of La Crosse, Wisconsin. He finished with 27 points and 8 rebounds, as well as 3 steals in 38 minutes. He shot 8 for 15 from the field, 4 for 5 from 3, and 7 for 10 from the foul line. With this win, the 8th-ranked Wisconsin Badgers are 15-2. They are 6-1 in the Big Ten. They are tied with Illinois for the best record in the conference. With this loss, unranked Northwestern is now 9-7. They are now 2-5 in the Big Ten for the time being. Looking at the 10th-ranked basketball team in the nation, the Houston Cougars hosted the unranked USF Bulls of, South Florida. Houston would go on to beat USF 74-55. They won this matchup by 19 after outscoring the Bulls by 20 in the first half. On the winning end of this matchup, the 10th-ranked Houston Cougars were led in scoring by their starting guard, Kyler Edwards. Edwards finished with 23 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 steals, all in 35 minutes. He shot 6 for 14 from the field. All of his made shots came from 3. He was 6 for 11 from 3, and he was 5 for 7 from the foul line. With this win, the 10th-ranked Houston Cougars are now 16-2. They are 5-0 in the American Conference. They are the lone undefeated team so far. With this loss, unranked South Florida is 6-11. They are 1-4 in the American Conference. Looking at the 15th-ranked team in the nation, the Iowa State Cyclones would go to face off against the 18th-ranked Texas Tech Red Raiders at Texas Tech. The Red Raiders won this matchup 72-60. They won by 12 in front of their home fans after they outscored Iowa State by 9 in the second half. On the losing end of this matchup, the 15th-ranked Iowa State Cyclones were led in scoring by their guard off the bench, Caleb Grill, out of Wichita, Kansas. Grill finished with 17 points in 23 minutes as he shot 6 for 10 from the field, 4 for 8 from 3, and he made his only foul shot of the day. On the winning end of this matchup, the 18th-ranked Red Raiders were led in scoring by their starting forward, Bryson Williams, out of Fresno. Bryson Williams finished with 16 points in 23 minutes. He would go on to shoot 4 for 10 from the field and 7 for 8 from the foul line. With this win, the 18th-ranked Texas Tech Red Raiders are now 14-4. They are now 4-2 in the Big 12 Conference, tied with Baylor for the second-best record in the conference. With this loss, the 15th-ranked Iowa State Cyclones are now 14-4. They are 2-4 in the Big 12, tied with Oklahoma and Kansas State for the worst records in the entire conference so far. Taking a look now what went down with the 19th ranked team in the nation, the Ohio State Buckeyes hosted the IUPUI Jaguars. Ohio State would win this matchup 83-37. They won this matchup by 46 after they outscored the Jaguars by 13 in the first half. They would go on to outscore the Jaguars 46-13 by 33 in the second half. On the winning end of this matchup, the 19th ranked Ohio State Buckeyes were led in scoring by their guard off the bench, Eugene Brown III, out of Conyers, Georgia. He finished with 14 points in 17 minutes. He would go on to shoot 4 for 6 from the field, 1 for 2 from 3, and 5 for 6 from the foul line. With this win, the 19th ranked Ohio State Buckeyes are now 12-4. With this loss, unranked IUPUI is now 1-15 on the year. Looking at the 22nd ranked team in the nation, the Loyola Chicago Ramblers went to Evansville to face off against the unranked Purple Aces. Loyola Chicago will win this matchup 77-48. They won by 29 after they outscored Evansville by 6 in the first half and by 23 in the second. On the winning end of this matchup, the 22nd ranked Loyola Chicago Ramblers were led in scoring by their starting guard, Lucas Williamson, out of Chicago. He finished with 15 points in 29 minutes. He shot 5 for 8 from the field as all of his attempts came from 3. He was 5 for 8 from 3. With this win, the 22nd ranked Loyola Chicago Ramblers are 14-2. They are now 5-0 in the Missouri Valley Conference. They are the lone undefeated team in their conference right now. With this loss, unranked Evansville is 4-12. They are now 0-5 in the Missouri Valley Conference. They are the lone team in the conference who has yet to get a win. Looking at the 23rd ranked team in the nation, the Texas Longhorns hosted the unranked Kansas State Wildcats. Kansas State would end up beating Texas 66-65 in front of the Longhorn fans. Kansas State won this matchup by 1 after outscoring Texas by 5 in the second half to overcome their 4-point halftime deficit. On the losing end of this matchup, the 23rd ranked Texas Longhorns were led in scoring by their starting guard, Marcus Carr. He would go on to finish with 25 points in 36 minutes. He would go on to shoot 6 for 13 from the field, 2 for 5 from 3, and 11 for 12 for the foul line. On the winning end of this matchup, the Kansas State Wildcats were led in scoring by their starting guard, Mark Smith, out of Edwardsville, Illinois. He finished with 22 points and 8 rebounds in 33 minutes. He shot 9 for 14 from the field, 2 for 5 from 3, and 2 for 3 from the foul line. With this win, the unranked Kansas State Wildcats are 10-7. They are now 2-4 in the Big 12, tied with Oklahoma and Iowa State for the worst records in the conference. With this loss, 23rd ranked Texas is now 13-5. They are now 3-3 in the Big 12. Looking at the 24th ranked team in the nation, the Tennessee Volunteers would go to Nashville to face off against their in-state rival, the unranked Vanderbilt Commodores. Tennessee would end up beating Vanderbilt 68-60. They won this matchup by 8 after outscoring Vanderbilt by 7 in the second half. On the winning end of this matchup, the 24th ranked Vols were led in scoring by their starting guard, Santiago Vescovi. Vescovi finished with 14 points and 6 rebounds as well as 2 blocks in 27 minutes. He shot 3 for 8 from the field. All of his makes came from 3. He was 3 for 5 from 3, and he was 5 for 6 from the foul line. With this win, the 24th ranked Tennessee Volunteers are now 12-5. They are now 3-3 in the SEC. With this loss, unranked Vanderbilt is now 10-7. They are 2-3 in the SEC. Last but not least, looking at the top 25 teams, the 25th ranked UConn Huskies hosted the unranked Butler Bulldogs. UConn would beat Butler 76-59. The Huskies won this matchup by 17 after they outscored the Bulldogs by 15 in the first half. On the winning end of this matchup, the 25th ranked Huskies were led in scoring by their starting guard, R.J. Cole. Cole finished with 17 points, 6 rebounds, and 2 steals in 33 minutes. Cole shot 4 for 7 from the field, 1 for 2 from 3, and 8 for 9 from the foul line. With this win, the 25th ranked UConn Huskies are now 12-4. They are now 3-2 in the Big East Conference. With this loss, the unranked Butler Bulldogs are now 9-8. They are now 2-4 in the Big East for the time being. Taking a look at what's going on today in college basketball, starting off at 7 o'clock, the 13th ranked LSU Tigers are going to Tuscaloosa to face off against the unranked Alabama Crimson Tide. LSU comes into this matchup with a 3-2 SEC record. At 8 o'clock, the 11th ranked Villanova Wildcats are going to host unranked Marquette on TBS Sports Network. Villanova enters this matchup in Finneran Pavilion with a 6-1 Big East record. At 8:30, the 12th ranked Kentucky Wildcats are going to go to Reed Arena in College Station, Texas to face off against the unranked Texas A&M Aggies. Kentucky is currently 4-1 in the SEC as Texas A&M is 4-0. Kentucky looks to give Texas A&M their first SEC loss of the season. At 9 o'clock, the second-ranked Auburn Tigers are going to host the unranked Georgia Bulldogs on ESPNU in Auburn Arena. Auburn comes into this matchup with a 5-0 SEC record as Georgia still looks to pick up their first SEC win this season. And then at the same time, at 9 o'clock, the 20th-ranked Xavier Musketeers are going to go to Chicago to face off against unranked DePaul. Xavier enters this matchup with a 3-2 record in the Big East. This matchup will be on FS1. Taking a look at what went down in the NBA yesterday, there were 2 primetime games. Starting off in Madison Square Garden, the New York Knicks hosted the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Timberwolves would beat the Knicks 112-110. They won this matchup by 2 after they outscored the Knicks by 10 in the first half and then by 7 in the fourth after the Knicks outscored the Timberwolves by 15 in the third. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown New York Knicks were led in scoring by their starting shooting guard, Evan Fournier. Fournier finished with 27 points in 37 minutes. He shot 10 for 17 from the field, 5 for 10 from 3, and a perfect 2 for 2 from the foul line. Their starting power forward out of Kentucky, their former All-Star, Julius Randle, finished with 21 points, 9 rebounds, 9 assists, 2 steals, and 4 blocks in 39 minutes. Randle shot 6 for 15 from the field and 9 for 11 from the foul line. On the winning end of this matchup, the Minnesota Timberwolves were led in scoring by their elite starting small forward out of Georgia, Anthony Edwards. Ant finished with 21 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 steals in 39 minutes. He shot 8 for 17 from the field, and he would go on to shoot 2 for 9 from 3 and 3 for 4 from the foul line. Their elite starting center, Karl Anthony Towns, finished with 20 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists in 36 minutes. He shot 6 for 12 from the field, 2 for 4 from 3, and he shot 6 for 7 from the foul line. With this win, the Minnesota Timberwolves are now 22-22. That is currently the 7th best record in the West, as they are tied with the Los Angeles Lakers. They've won their last 2 games. They've won 6 of their last 10. They now sit 12.5 games behind the first seed Phoenix Suns out west. With this loss, the New York Knicks are now 22-23. That is the 5th worst record in the Eastern Conference. At the moment, they've lost their last 2 games. They've lost 5 of their last 10. They sit 6.5 games behind the Eastern Conference leading Bulls and Heat. They sit a game and a half behind the 8th seed Washington Wizards, just to see how close the conference is. And then looking at the other game that took place yesterday, the Golden State Warriors hosted the Detroit Pistons. The Warriors would end up beating the Pistons 102-86. Warriors won this matchup by 16 after they outscored the Pistons by 11 in the first quarter and by 17 in the second, by a combined 28 points in the first half. On the losing end of this matchup, the Detroit Pistons were led in scoring by their guard off the bench, Rodney McGruder, out of Kansas State. McGruder finished with 19 points and 5 rebounds in 22 minutes. He shot 7 for 10 from the field, 4 for 7 from 3, and he shot 1 for 2 from the foul line. The Golden State Warriors on the winning end were led in scoring by their elite starting shooting guard out of Washington State, Klay Thompson. Thompson finished with 21 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 steals in 22 minutes. He shot 6 for 13 from the field, 3 for 8 from 3, and he would shoot a perfect 6 for 6 from the foul line. Their goated starting point guard, Stephen Curry, would go on to finish with 18 points, 3 rebounds, 8 assists, and 3 steals in 29 minutes. He shot 6 for 11 from the field, 4 for 8 from 3, and he would go on to shoot a perfect 2 for 2 from the foul line. Their starting power forward, Jonathan Kuminga, would go on to finish with 12 points and 10 rebounds in 25 minutes. He shot 4 for 10 from the field, 2 for 4 from 3, and a perfect 2 for 2 from the foul line. With this win, the Golden State Warriors are now 32-12. That is the 2nd best record in the Western Conference, as they've won 5 of their last 10 games. They sit 2.5 games behind the Western Conference leading and NBA leading Phoenix Suns. With this loss, the Detroit Pistons are now 10-33. That is the 2nd worst record in the Eastern Conference. They've lost their last 2 games, and they've lost 5 of their last 10. They sit 12.5 games behind the 8th seed Washington Wizards out east, just to get a sense of where they sit. Those are the 2 games that took place yesterday, and of course, looking forward to what's going on today for Wednesday's matchup, starting off with the prime times. At 7:30, the Boston Celtics, led by their elite starting small forward Jason Tatum, are going to host the Charlotte Hornets, led by their elite starting point guard LaMelo Ball. The hometown Celtics come into this matchup with the 10th best record in the East, sitting half a game behind the 8th seed Washington Wizards. The Hornets on the road enter this matchup with the 7th best record in the East, as they sit a game ahead of the Wizards, and they sit 4 games behind the Bulls and the Heat out east. So both these teams feel as though they must win. The matchup coming on after this will take place in Ball Arena in Denver, Colorado, as the Denver Nuggets, who currently hold the 6th best record in the West, are going to host the LA Clippers, who are holding on to the 9th best record in the West at the moment. The Nuggets have won 6 of their last 10. The Clippers have won 4 of their last 10, just to get a sense of where they are at this point in the season. The Nuggets are going to be led by Nikola Jokic for the time being, as the Clippers are missing Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. Looking at the games that aren't going to be on primetime in the NBA today, at 7 o'clock, the Philadelphia 76ers are going to host the Orlando Magic in the Wells Fargo Center, as the Magic have the worst record in basketball right now. At 7 o'clock, the Washington Wizards are going to host the Brooklyn Nets at Capital One Arena. And at 7:30, the Atlanta Hawks are going to host the Minnesota Timberwolves at State Farm Arena. At 7:30, the Miami Heat are going to host the Portland Trailblazers at FTX Arena. At 8 o'clock, the Chicago Bulls, who hold the best record in the East, as well as the Miami Heat, are going to host the Cleveland Cavaliers, who are currently holding the 4th best record. So this could be a day where the Bulls could get leapfrogged in the standings. At the same time, at 8 o'clock, the defending champs Milwaukee Bucks are going to host the Memphis Grizzlies in Pfizer V Forum, as both teams have been incredible as of late. At 8:30, the Dallas Mavericks are going to host the Toronto Raptors in the American Airlines Center. At the same time, the San Antonio Spurs are going to host the OKC Thunder at the AT&T Center. At 9, the Utah Jazz are going to host the Houston Rockets at Vivint Arena. At 10 o'clock, the Sacramento Kings are going to host the Detroit Pistons in Golden One Center. And then last but not least, at 10:30, the LA Lakers are going to host the Indiana Pacers at Crypto.com Arena. Taking a look now at what's going on in the world of soccer following yesterday's matchups. Chelsea would draw with Brighton Hove Albion. First goal of the game was scored by Chelsea's Hakim Ziyech in the 78th minute. Brighton Hove Albion would tie it up in the 60th minute with a goal from Adam Webster. And of course, with this draw, Chelsea is now sitting third in the Premier League. They now sit 12 points behind first place Man City, as Chelsea did sit at the very top of the table at one point. Taking a look at what went down in the German Pokal, which is its tournament, Borussia Dortmund would end up losing to St. Pauli 2-1. Dortmund's lone goal came in the 58th minute from Erling Haaland. But Pauli scored their 2 goals before Borussia scored its lone one. This will be the very first time in the Pokal history that neither Borussia Dortmund nor Bayern Munich has advanced to the final. And then I have no idea how long it's been. Or isn't the first time in a while since those two have not been in. And I know it's been a good second since neither one of these teams has made it to the quarterfinal. Taking a look at what went down in the Italian Coppa, this round being the round of 16, Lazio would go on to beat Udinese at home. Their lone goal coming in the 106th minute thanks to their elite Italian striker Ciro Immobile. And also, Juventus hosts Sampdoria and was able to pull off a 4-1 win. Their first goal will come from Juan Cuadrado to make it 1-0 in the first half. In the second half, Daniel Rugani would put them up 2-0 in the first half. Sampdoria scored his lone goal from Andre Conti to make it 2-1 Juventus. Paulo Dybala, their elite Argentinian forward, would score their third goal to make it 3-1. And then their last goal would come in the 77th minute from a penalty from their Spanish striker Alvaro Morata. So with this win, they will advance to the quarterfinals alongside Lazio. And then taking a look at what went down in the African Cup of Nations in terms of teams, in terms of how the seeding was needed to go. Looking at the Group B matchups, Senegal ended up drawing with Malawi. And with this draw, Senegal sits at the very top of the table, so they will advance to the next round. And then Guinea would end up losing to Zimbabwe, because Zimbabwe won this one 2-1. Their 2 goals will come in the first half. Their goals coming from Knowledge Musona and Kudakwashe Mahachi. And then Naby Keita would score Guinea's only goal, but it wouldn't be enough for them. Guinea and Malawi both finished with 4 points in the group. They finish above Malawi, so Guinea will be the team to advance, as Malawi will have to sit and wait. Taking a look at the Group C matchups, Morocco would end up drawing with Gabon 2-2. In this matchup, the first goal would come from Gabon as Jim Alavina would put them up 1-0. And they would be up 1-0 at the end of the first half. In the second half, Morocco would even it up in the 74th minute off of a penalty kick from Sofiane Boufal. Gabon would take the lead off of a Morocco own goal to make it 2-1 in the 81st minute. And then Achraf Hakimi, Morocco's elite defender, winger, or depending on how they use him, would go on to score in the 84th minute so that Morocco could finish at the very top of the table. With this loss, Gabon still finishes second in the table, so they both will go on to advance. And then looking on to the matchup where it didn't really matter for either team, but I guess they were both fighting to see if they could at least seed in. Comoros Island would end up beating Ghana 3-2. First goal of this game came from Comoros Island from El Fardou Ben in the 4th minute. It would be 1-0 at halftime. The second goal would come from Comoros Islands from Ahmed Mongi in the 62nd minute to make it 2-0 Comoros Islands. Ghana would score its 2 goals in the 64th and 77th minutes from Richmond Boakie and Alexander Jiku. And then Comoros Island would end up breaking this tie in the 85th minute with Ahmed Moni, as Ghana played with one less player for 65 of the 90 minutes this game. So that is how that matchup would finish. And then taking a look at what's going on in today's matchups in the African Cup, in terms of the teams that need to seed, looking at the Group D matchups, Nigeria, who sits on top, is going to face off against Guinea-Bissau. They only have 1 point in the group. Egypt, who has 3 points in the group and needs a win, they're going to face off against Sudan. Both these matchups are going to be at 2 o'clock. Taking a look at what's going on in the Premier League at 2:30, Leicester City is going to host Tottenham. Taking a look at where both of these teams sit in the table, Leicester City is currently sitting 10th in the table, Tottenham sitting 6th. With a win here, Tottenham could see themselves jumping Arsenal for the day and moving into that 5th spot. Manchester United faces off against Brentford at 3. A win could see them possibly jump past Tottenham, and if Tottenham loses, because they're 1 point below Tottenham with 2 more games played, as Brentford is currently holding I guess for the moment, Brentford's holding the 7th worst record in the Premier League for now. Taking a look at what is going on in the Spanish Copa del Rey, which is in its round of 16 stage. Atletico Madrid is going to face off against Real Sociedad for a chance to go to the quarterfinals. And then taking a look at what is going on in the Italian Copa, the reigning Serie A champs, Inter Milan, are going to face off against Empoli to see who's going to sit alongside, of course, now Lazio and Juve in the quarterfinals. So that's everything that I've got going on for today. And not to mention that the reigning Ligue 1 champs, Lille, are going to host Lorient at 1 o'clock. And right at this moment, Lille is holding on to the 10th best record in France. A win here could possibly see themselves jump into that 7th place for the moment. So that is everything that I have for you today. First, I want to thank ESPN, the NCAA, NFL, NBA, and FIFA websites for giving me all the facts and figures that I needed for this episode. I want to thank everyone for listening, and I apologize for butchering the names that I know that I did. I do plan on eventually getting them right one day. And I want to thank everyone for listening to this piece. I really do hope all is well. Once all of today's exhibitions and matchups are done, I'm going to come back tomorrow on Thursday, January 20th for another episode of The Elite. So until then, I want to thank everyone for listening. I hope all is well. And I do have an elite individual profile after this, so I hope you stick around for that. Thanks for listening. I hope all is well, and I'll catch you with another episode after this. Peace out. Thanks for listening to my piece.